All right, welcome back to the Coaching Collective podcast. So we were lucky enough to spend a little bit of time in Bangkok in the middle of the year, and we crossed paths with Kyle Baxter. So Kyle is a coach, physiotherapist, originally from Canada,
Yeah.
um, living in living in Bangkok now for, from what to my understanding, the foreseeable future, and pretty well known name across the space as well. So if you could introduce yourself, man, tell everyone a bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I'm Coach Bax. I do some weird coaching physio niche thing. I've kind of done, I'll give you the rundown of how I got to this place of like started in high performance strength and conditioning, taught biomechanics at a college, did the commercial gym thing, did the gym management thing. I always thought physio was kind of boring. I worked with a lot of high
Mhm.
level physios. COVID happened. My buddy was like, "Hey, like I'm applying to physio in London, England. Like, do you want to come?" And I'm like, I don't know, whatever, I'll apply. And then COVID happened and I lost my job. And I was like, oh, like maybe I'll just be a physio, but like not a boring one. And
Mhm.
then went to physio school, did some time in like medical system, saw how all that works. And I'm like, hey, like there's like quite a telephone game between all of these different humans, like physio, coach, nutritionist, endocrinologist. Like, what if I just like did a service that kind of did everything?
Mhm.
And that's kind of where my service started, and then just kept going from there.
Yeah, because I did read the other day as well. You put up a post saying you never thought that you'd end up doing something down the physio route, did you?
No, well, I did at the start. I was like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna go because it's so in Canada, everyone
Hmm.
has insurance. So
Yeah.
like it's so stable. It's like
Hmm.
you go, you work in a clinic, you know exactly how many hours you're gonna work. You get paid for this amount. Like the clinic gets you busy because everyone has insurance and it's free, but you don't really spend a lot of time with people. You can only do things the way that the clinic wants you to do them,
Hmm.
and you're kind of capped on payment because you have to pay through insurance. You can't use cash. Like some places do, some places don't. Like it just sounds like a more that was my plan. And then I was like, oh,
Hmm.
like by the time I finished physio school, I was like, oh, well, I make the same as what I would make at home, like grinding
Hmm.
all day long. Like maybe I just don't do that. So now we're
Hmm.
here.
Did you have like, how did you go about as well getting that recognition in that space as like that niche as well? Because I can imagine like when you started off as well, it would have been it would have been harder to get that traction if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So when I was in school before, like I just posted content all the time. Before I even took on any clients or anything, I just like posted content all the time.
Hmm.
And then I was always like the physio guy who I was the paying guy at the start, and it was a
Hmm.
terrible business model. Like when I started,
Yeah.
I opened coaching spots. I got like 20
Hmm.
clients in a week from
Hmm.
zero. And then after 2 months, I had four clients. And like, I'm gonna go back to my real coach. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm pretty
Hmm.
good at the same thing. Like, it's not really a sustainable business model. Like, I don't just want to have this assembly line of humans that like I help and they go to the real coach. Like the real
Hmm.
stuff is where what's more fun. Like I want to do that. So I like changed my message. Like I don't really talk about physio online, if you notice now.
Hmm. Yeah, I have noticed.
I
Yeah.
do in like the question box and like I made a reel about it this morning because a client asked me a question, but like
Hmm.
I'm not like posting physio content on the regular. Um, and then I just kind of I was educating for Prescript at the time, and like they had quite a big name. And then I
Hmm.
just helped one person, and then they said some good things about me, and then I helped another person, and then I did a seminar, and then I helped another person, and they had a big name, and then it kind of just like I just like tried my best and did a good job, and then eventually everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Bax kind of knows some stuff." So that's kind
Hmm.
of where it started. It started as like I was going to be the pain guy because like physio pain, and then I was like, okay, like I don't work in a clinic. I don't have unlimited humans coming to me. Like
Hmm.
I'd like it to be a little bit more like sustainable income of like a client comes and stays for a year or two or three. Now I have which is what I have now, but it
Hmm.
really like wasn't that. And I was like, oh wow, I need to change my message like very quickly. So that was a
Hmm.
good learning experience.
Yeah, because I do notice I have a few friends who are physio and they do struggle with that as well because you get a like a lifespan of a client when you're the paying guy.
It's
Like
like when the
you,
better you are,
yeah.
the smaller that lifespan is.
Hmm.
Like I have
Yeah.
people who like when you're talking about there's two types of like people there's two reasons someone comes to or one reason someone comes to a physio, but there's two different ways to look at it of like do we have a tissue injury or do we just have like symptoms?
Hmm.
tissue injury takes time to heal. I can Google exactly how long it'll take if we do everything optimally in terms of a human and like maybe take some peptides and stuff like that. Like we can increase that like crazy. But like I can tell you exactly how long it should be to be healed slash remodeled, etc. But most
Mhm.
people are like, I've had this problem for years. It's like, okay, well, like unless you have some actual issue where your tissue healing is the problem, like we're not dealing with a tissue issue, we're dealing with a nervous system issue and how you move issue. And that's like if you understand how to put inputs and outputs in, like that can either that can be fixed very quickly. It's like, oh, first session, I don't have shoulder pain now. It's like, cool, like
Mhm.
keep pressing like this, keep doing this, reinforce those patterns. And now I'm like the lifespan of a quote unquote physio client goes down exponentially when
Mhm.
most people are just dealing with that. It's like, oh, like I have shoulder pain, I need these peptides. It's like, do you have a tissue injury? You're just
Mhm.
a guy who works out. Like, probably
Mhm.
not. You're just like
Mhm.
press like trash for a long time and your shoulder doesn't like it that much.
And it's funny because now with the whole prevalence of the peptides, people just sort of delve straight down that route before they look at anything. Because my methodology, I never really had a methodology in regards to referring clients out to a specific like allied health. But
Yeah.
someone shared the perspective with me. The perk of dealing with a physio directly is you do get that diagnosis, you have that understanding of the issue compared to just ongoing treatment with no real objective. And then
Yeah.
once we understand that, that comes down to creating that plan together where you can actively work through that. But it's still active work because even with peptides, man, as you know, they have an expiry, not an expiry date. But what are you going to do? Use them forever? You know
Yeah.
what I
It's
mean?
like
And that's what a lot of people think. Yeah.
things happen for a reason. It's like we haven't
Mm,
addressed the reason these things happen. Like why, like your shoulder just doesn't hurt for no reason. Your knee
mm,
doesn't hurt when you bend it for no reason. It's like there's a reason this happens. Like if I'm just a normal physio rubbing you down every day or giving you these
mm,
exercises and not looking at how you lift, or like we just go down the peptide route of like I got elbow tendonitis, like jam some peptides in there. It's like, okay, like why is this tissue unhappy in the first place? Maybe we address that first.
And would you say that a majority of cases that you deal with, you do see a resolution regardless of the duration of time they've had the issue? Or is it
100%.
still an ongoing? Oh, 100%. Yeah, good. But you
So
still, yeah.
so when I do a physio assessment, like physio
Mm,
assessment, um, a one-off does nothing. So my
mm,
service, like you have a call, you do an assessment beforehand, you
mm,
send me the stuff. Then we look at your plan, we look at your nutrition. I ask you about your bloods if you have them. I ask you about your everything. And then I make you a plan. And then you kind of like it kind of becomes online coaching for like 14 days
mm,
of like send me videos. I review your form. I make suggestions about your programming. If you people have another coach, it gets sticky sometimes, but I say like
mm,
this, I suggest do whatever you want.
mm,
Um, After the call plus 14 days, it's like, yeah, now you know how to manage it yourself. Like, I don't want to talk to you ever again. Like,
yeah.
no one is like, should I book a follow-up? It's like, no, why? I know. Just go do it yourself. So
And
like
it's
most people
yeah.
just they need more than like a session or a physio things for one hour. They
Mhm,
need to learn how to do things themselves. And that kind of 14 days, I found a way to like because I've had a lot of sessions and they would just be a one-off and I give someone a plan
mhm,
and they'd text me like a month later and be like, oh, your stuff doesn't work. I was like, no, 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 my stuff's sick. What do you mean? Like,
mhm,
and then, but the way they do it is not good. The consistency, like how they're lifting, all of these things of like, those are the things that are going to make a long-term change. And especially like my niche is a little bit more like, I deal with some super complicated cases, but like obviously my niche is more of like lifters. So that's
mhm,
what's fun. So
Would you
mhm,
say for the most part that physios are sort of set up in that way, whereby it's like the singular session, but then there's no like consistent communication afterwards?
yeah, it's hard because like so in physio school, like I haven't diagnosed like a physio I don't think diagnoses people.
Mhm.
A machine, MRI, etc., diagnoses someone. Radiologist diagnoses someone. I haven't diagnosed anyone in a very long time, right? Because I was
mhm.
like, it might be
Interesting.
this, but we don't know. A diagnosis is just a name for symptoms.
Mhm.
You give someone a diagnosis, what's the first thing they do? As soon as we're done talking, they pull out their phone and Google it. And they see a
Mhm.
bunch of crazy shit and nothing, and it gets even worse mentally for the human. So
Mhm,
I think for the physio model, one, they teach you to find the structure that is damaged. Flaw there. What if there's no structure damage? Then
Hmm.
you're searching for something, you're searching for a diagnosis, etc. And then the model that kind of runs like a physio, so physios work pretty hard, I'm assuming, everywhere, right? Like, do they get paid to text their clients in between sessions? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
Like, is it, does the clinic manager say, like, hey, you need to follow up with this person every 3 days? Like, no, you like, it's just not in the model. So no one really
Mhm.
thinks of that. That's where my model switched to like, okay, like what's the important part after the session?
Mm.
That's what I want to focus on. And I even tell people on the call, it's like, it's cool that we get to chat and like I need to explain to the person that they're not dying, explain a little bit in simple terms, like the physiology of what's going on, especially when it's like a back thing. People freak out about back things, think their spine's exploding. But like the stuff they do after the call is way more important.
Mm.
99% of the time, like besides the human element of it, which is very important, I don't really need a call. Like I can see how they move. I know exactly what I'm going to give them. I know exactly how they're going to move. They're going to send me videos. I'm going to say do this. But the call is just for like the human element of like I come in so hot and so confident that like the things work better just because of that.
Mm.
In
Mhm.
the normal model, like we're taught to find structure that's damaged. We're taught that in the session is when people get better.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And both of those, like it's not the physio's fault because like you pay a lot of money to go to physio school. Why would you do anything different?
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna just you go, easy, you go.
Have you noticed people sort of picking up on your model and moving towards that?
Because I haven't seen
Um,
anyone else do that. Yeah.
so I mentor like some like clinicians, and they're like, how do you not just how do you build a business out of this and
Mm.
not just like work for your life? And I was like, I called it like I have like a double funnel. I'm not really like a business guy, but like, and now I understand what I've done without even thinking about it of like my niche for coaching is a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches have a lot of clients who need physio things, which funnels people into my physio assessments. And then my physio assessments, I help someone, they get to see how I work for 2 weeks. Then they're like, oh, like, what else does this guy know? Now I want coaching. So
Mm.
I think like with anyone who is in like the clinical space, like unless you're going to grind forever and open a like your own space, it's so difficult. Like you have to have some sort of because pain is not pain or tissue injury or physio. It's never a long-term goal.
Mm.
It's a
Mm.
roadblock to the fun stuff, right? I always say on calls
Mhm.
like, if I could snap my fingers and your pain's gone, what would you want to do? And they're like, I want to run. I want to get shredded. I want to get big. And like those are long-term goals because you can always be more
Mhm.
shredded. You can always run better. You can always get bigger. Right. And then we just work towards that right away. So I think like the model that it's just not taught. And when I mentor clinicians, I tell them like, hey, like you're gonna just be doing this forever unless you have some sort of thing to like keep people around more than like just you're an RMT, you just rub people down, registered massage
Mhm.
therapist, like what they call it in
Mhm.
Canada.
Mhm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to bounce back as well. Do you actually get coaches bouncing back off your feedback?
What do you mean bouncing
Like
back?
like pushing back on your feedback to the client?
Um, Now, no.
Hmm.
Before, yes. So like I've done consults with clients of like every top coach every top like bodybuilding coach you could ever think of.
Hmm.
And I'm like, this is what I used to be like, okay, this is your new plan, do this and this and this if you want this to get better.
Hmm.
And the other coach would be like, oh, like you said my plan's shit. And I was like, well, your person's injured. They can't
Mm.
press. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
say your plan is shit, but something is shit and I need to
Hmm.
fix it. Now I'm like, okay, do you have a coach? Okay, your coach is this person. Your coach is Michael. All right, cool. I can like tell you to do whatever you want. You won't get upset. Or it's like, oh, your coach is this big name person. Like every big name coach has a huge ego. I'll be like, okay, cool.
Hmm.
Like this is what I think. These are my suggestions. Run it by your coach. You guys can do whatever you want. You have 14 days to text me.
Hmm.
And I'm more like diplomatic about it instead of being like, yeah, this program's like really bad, man. Like
Mm.
you can't just do 20 sets of pressing in one workout and also press like shit and expect to not have a shoulder that explodes. So
Yeah, because you're also going to see a lot of apprehension when you strip someone's training back as well, I can bet, especially when you get younger guys.
With if it's a coach who I like know, I'll
Hmm.
send a loom being like, this is why.
Hmm.
This is why we're doing this. You can't do hack squat because your knee doesn't bend, but the task will always win and the knee will bend, but it won't bend in the way that we want. So, like, okay, C to calf raise is worse for hypertrophy from the research, maybe, but
Hmm.
it's also better because it gets the tibia rotating, and that's why we're doing it at the start of the workout, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, I explain those things, and then the coach is like, no one can say anything when I explain
Hmm.
why because
Mm.
Hmm.
I have the client's best interest at heart of like, this is the best way I think in the short term to get this person out of pain because the number one thing that stops people from gains is some sort of injury or pain. Physically, you can't even fire high threshold motor units if you are in discomfort. So good luck.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I became valuable in this space. I'm like, you understand
Yeah.
physiology of muscles? You understand the nervous system? You can
Hmm.
push through pain. You can be as mentally strong as you want, but your body will always win. And you will never fire high threshold motor units if you are in pain.
Hmm.
And then as soon as I say that, they're like, oh, like, okay, I guess maybe we'll like take what you say into consideration. But now,
And
like,
mhm.
I I always ask who the coach is and like I have a pretty good rapport. It's like I don't think there's any coach I don't have a good rapport with. So
Mm.
Yeah, no, and it's actually interesting you say that because no one would actually, it's such a simple concept what you just said, but no one would actually come out and say something. Like I've never heard someone say that before.
yeah.
For one, yeah, and obviously the degree of conviction that you have and the way that you present the information, even in our smaller exchanges about it when we met, um, that level of conviction makes me confident in knowing that you know what you're doing. It makes me confident in sending people to you. The apprehension that I do see, which is not a question that I had, but is one of the apprehensions I've seen lately, because lately I've been saying to clients, you just need to see this guy, you're going to see. And one of the theories that I always had, which makes complete sense, is people would always look for the cheaper physio, the cheaper osteo, whatever. And I'd say, who cares about what you pay? Because the shit one you're going to go and have to see 10 times. Whereas the good one you might have only see twice. But I do get apprehension with the online component of it because people think that they need hands-on support. What are your thoughts around that? Or what would be your argument against, like to sort of have people more comfortable or confident with the online resource here?
Yeah. So the first thing is like most people have an online coach already.
Yeah.
So like you have a coach online, why would you not have a physio online? And
Mm,
then the second part is like, oh, like how do you know I'm doing things correctly? And I was like, the whole point of this is like, I want you to be able to self-manage and do these things correctly. You can't do that with someone else just like holding your hand the whole time. And things get better between the sessions. Like, does manual therapy work? Do I use it when I'm in person with people? 100%. You need to understand what it does, but it modulates things so we can get more range of motion. You can get dissociation between joints. Goes down, nervous system gets modulated, and then we can lift in a different way, right? So it's like, I want you to do these things on your own eventually.
mm,
Why does it matter if, will we make a tiny bit slower change if we do online? Yes. But then you don't have to have a billion sessions. I'm actually the best value physio on the earth, in my opinion,
mhm,
because no one needs more than one after the 14 days. They just go lift. Right? It's like
mhm,
you save so, I imagine 10 hours driving to the physio. They sell you a fucking 10 pack for some reason. And then you
mhm,
have to go back 10 times. And they're like, after 10 sessions, what happens? Oh, I don't know. It's like, no, no, no. Like, I want you to learn in 14 days how to manage this yourself. If it's super complicated, I'll say, like, hey, you should probably have some sort of coaching or someone guide you or reach out to a physio in person because it's very complicated. But most people, it's like they can just manage themselves. Like, I have normal mom clients that have had back pain for like a billion years, complicated pregnancy, like pelvic health problems. Let's please not get into that. It's
mhm,
right. Like, and
mhm,
I'm like, oh, like, are you sure? Like, I was like, all right, like, let's do a month and see what happens.
mhm,
And then after 2 weeks, they're like, yeah, I don't pee when I walk upstairs anymore. So like, see how that works?
mhm,
Mm.
It's all the same, but I'm modulating things with you laying on a foam roller on your side and using gravity instead of me being there manipulating your body. It's the same concept, but a different, like I work off all principles. I just work off principles.
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
not research based because the principles that I use, it'll never be controlled enough in research because life is uncontrolled. So I'm like, I can find you these facts, and like maybe I can find you something in research, but I can also tell you why every research study is bad when it comes to the physio thing. It's like if I wanted to get 1 million followers, I could do the face over the other person's reel, and I could just go in on why every single physio thing is like not the full picture.
Mm.
Mhm.
I don't need 1 million followers. I just want to hang out with cool people.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's like if I want someone to do something on their own anyways, that's the like why does online and in person matter?
I also feel like as well, if they had the in-person element, they'd get very fixated on that versus what their ongoing strategies are.
The like I'm so like on the bottom of my form that I send out, it says like you now have 14 days to use me as a resource, send me as many videos as you can, do all of these things. I was like, if you ghost me for it's literally says this, if you ghost me for 14 days and then come back saying that your symptoms have not changed, I will have zero empathy for you.
Mhm.
And you may need to book another session in which we will not have another session. You're just paying for more of my time.
Mm.
Mhm.
So that's that. Like I make it very clear that like the session is not the thing that helps you. You need to help
Mhm.
yourself. And as soon as someone goes into somewhere, it's like this is gonna help. Right? I go in to get a facial, and I'm like, it's gonna make my face clear. It's like, no, 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 you
Mhm.
still eat like your gut's fucked.
Yeah.
Like you're still gonna be
Yeah.
shit. Right? So
Mm.
it's like it's the mentality of like you pay for something, so you should be getting the results. It's like, no, 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 you pay for the tools to use them. Right? I'm not
Mhm.
fixing your core. You're fixing your own body. I don't
Mhm.
like
Do you get,
because it suggests someone's broken, but
do people actually ghost you after that though?
I've had before that, I've had people, that was the start. That's when
Mhm.
I switched my thing. I'm like, you get 14 days.
Mhm.
I don't say my stuff sucks because it doesn't, because I try really hard on it.
Mhm.
You have to do it. And I've had people ghost me. I send me one video and then leave. I never hear from them again.
Mhm.
I'm like, it's fine. Like maybe it got better, maybe it didn't. Like that's not my fault. Like
Mhm.
I I can't control what happens after the session. I can just control and but the people who like I just had a guy send me like 10 videos. And it's like the first day, right after I sent him his plan. I was like,
Mhm.
sweet, it's gonna be great. He's gonna get better.
Mhm.
So I do have people ghost me, but like less now that I'm like communication is the most important part of like
Mhm.
this is what you're getting. This is what you have to do if you want this result. Here is very clear communication of what will happen if you don't do these things. Like,
Mm.
here's how I will react. It's on you to be an adult about this.
And I guess it would be a very similar concept to coaching as well, because if you're not engaging in what you need to do thereafter, you would assume you're not going to make progress. Whereas with these kind of niches, people don't have that same assumption.
Yeah, it says like, but because no one communicates that,
Yeah.
right? It's same the thing in my coaching like contract. It's
Hmm.
like, this is what I will do. This is what you will do. This is what I will do. This is what you will do. If you don't do these things and you complain about progress, like
Hmm.
I'm gonna say, hey, did you do these things? Like it says, like the clients who track the most data make the
Hmm.
most progress. The clients who send me training videos when I want them make the most gains. Like it's
Hmm.
very, very clear, but just with clinical stuff, no one talks about it's a worse business model to say, hey, if you do these things, you won't have to come back to us.
Hmm.
Model
Mm.
is so like based on reoccurring income that like if you're a good chiro or physio or whatever in person, like you need that. But if you're
Hmm.
actually good, you will just not have a lot of clients because they'll just be better and do things on their own. So that's kind of where I like if I ever open something in person, it's going to be like high level personal training in the
Hmm.
same facility that has a physio, a chiro, an RMP, et cetera. And then each of those things become a funnel for the other thing and people get real results.
Yeah, and then you got a whole team around you making sure that everything's moving forward in the way that it's supposed to. Because the amount of
Yeah.
times like even me, like when I compete, and I tore my lat just before I prepped, and you could see that on the stage. But if that was managed properly, that wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was just stubbornness. But in saying that, that's just an extreme example. But like the root of what I'm trying to say here is, yeah, if you're not managing these kind of concepts in an appropriate manner, you are going to withhold yourself from achieving what you actually want to achieve to the fullest capacity. where no one thinks like this, especially when it comes into the conversation, like we said, peptides, which I'm going to ask about in a second, peptides, PEDs, etc., where they start layering these things on top, thinking they're going to make up for shortfalls. Because you see that with injury profiles as well. I have clients that will push through injury profiles for months before they'll even consider reaching out for additional help. And it's just like, let's change this, let's change that, let's change that. And by the time, let's say it's a shoulder issue, before they know it, they're doing a front raise and a cable pec fly, and that's all they can do for any kind of push-based movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they get towards the end and they don't look anything like they expect to look. Or you see atrophy. I've seen atrophy before.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you layer in much alternative medicine and whatnot as well, or is that more just is that
Alternative medicine
common? Yeah.
like peptides and stuff, or
Yeah,
like
peptides and stuff. Yeah, peptides.
um
What are your thoughts on that? How would you go about something like that? Like if that were an option?
so I base it off like the human, right? Like if a guy is 300 pounds comes to me, like, okay, like, you're not natural 300 pounds,
Mhm,
like
mhm,
we can pull on these strings a little bit more. If
mhm,
someone asks about it, and this is why I think like even if you're a normal personal trainer in a box
mhm,
gym or something, like you should know about all these things because your clients are gonna ask you. And if you
mhm,
don't know about them, like they're gonna search otherwhere for answers. And then as soon as they
mhm,
search somewhere else for answers, like then they're not going to stay. Right. So
mhm,
with my service, like, and my own clients, like I never like, unless I suggest things sometimes, but it wouldn't never be my first line of defense.
mhm,
Unless someone has like an acute injury, it's like, hey, like, what do you think about peptides? I'm like, perfect, do this and this and this. Like, you had a
mhm,
breast augmentation. The number one
mhm,
complication of breast augmentation is infection. We might want to run some peptides to eliminate infection. We might want to do this and this and this. Like, those are the things that like when someone it based on the human, but I'm not like peptides are never the first line of defense
mhm,
because like most things are reoccurring, right? It's like this tissue is stressed because of stress you put on it. Why are we putting stress on it? Regardless of that, it needs to change. I think the biggest one that I see with the misunderstanding of these things is healing. This is like the most important thing I'll say on this whole
mhm,
podcast. Healing and remodeling are not the same.
mhm,
So I've seen this a billion times. You tear your pec. What do? You blast it with peptides. And then 2 weeks later, it feels better. So you go onto the bench again and you blow your shit up again. So healing is all of the things are now there to
mhm,
eventually make a tissue that can use force.
mhm,
It produce force and transfer force from muscle to bone. But it's not remodeled yet, right? It's like this. It's
mhm,
just a pile of sticks. And then you try to cross the bridge with a pile of sticks that's not a bridge and you fall in the water. It's
mhm,
like we still need to understand these timelines of healing, etc., so that we can remodel things so that they're able to do their job correctly. That's the biggest thing I see with like jump into peptides too quick. It's like they're magic. It'll feel
mhm,
super good. Bruising will be down in a couple days. Like it'll be back to normal. Like, oh, peptides healed me. I was like, no, no, no. They increased this part of things, but now
mhm,
you have organized collagen across your tendon. That needs load to remodel. I still need you to go 3 RIR and do a bunch of reps because we can't take load yet. Like
mhm,
that's the biggest thing I see of like remodeling and healing are not the same. Everyone says these are healing peptides, which is correct, but they're not remodeling peptides. You know what remodels things? Force. So
mhm,
that's the biggest thing with that I'm weary about it. Like, oh, like especially like a drug guy, they'll just crush peptides.
mhm,
And I'm like, hey, like you got to be careful with this because like it's not ready. I don't care how you feel. Like ultrasound it's gone. You did 2 weeks of BBC, whatever peptide cocktail. I'll go ultrasound that sentence, see how it looks. There's no way it looks good. It looks like shit.
mhm.
It looks good, but it doesn't look like it's supposed to look until you
Yeah.
remodel it. It's supposed to be remodeled.
Hmm.
So
And
that's like,
that would obviously be a rehabilitation process from there that would allow the remodeling to occur.
yeah, like just like we talked about before, of like just understand timelines of how long things
Hmm.
happen. We need to put
Hmm.
load across it, We can't put too much load across it too quickly because it's not ready.
Hmm.
And then after 6, 8 weeks, it's like, okay, cool. Like now we have a tendon that is healed and a tendon that's remodeled. And now we can do things. Even though after 2 weeks it felt good,
Hmm.
subjectively, objectively, if we were to literally look at the tendon or injured, whatever, it's not ready. So we need to know those things and understanding how peptides are so cheap and so readily available that like
Hmm.
people are like, oh, it does this, but it's like, okay, like, do you know how tissue healing works? Because we need to remodel these things, and that's not the same.
And that's an interesting concept, that one that you just raised there, because most people would not be aware of that whatsoever.
Not at all.
Yeah, like, but they have no clue, because even to me, that's quite green to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because with
it
yeah,
makes complete sense when I
it
say it
makes
like
complete
that.
sense. It does. It
It's
does.
like,
I
oh,
I
okay,
like the
cool.
analogy as
Makes
well.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in particular as well. I do like even with the recovering injuries, like surgical procedures, things like that, I find the peptides are really efficacious when it comes to a more chronic injury.
Yeah.
It's slapping a band-aid on, and half the time that band-aid doesn't do anything.
And like if it's a tissue that's not going to take a lot of load,
Hmm.
go nuts. Right? If you like walk by a fence and slice your leg open, it's like how much load is your like superficial quad gonna take?
Hmm.
It's like, all right, pump it with peptides. But it's like if it's a tendon that exploded because it has too much load because you can't lift properly and you're going to go back to the exact same thing that's going to put stress on it in the wrong way, like now we got to be a little bit more careful. And that's not even getting into like how real PEDs affect the nervous system, which I think I have a theory. Here's a soundbite.
Hmm.
Unless it's a contact injury,
Hmm.
you cannot tear your pec off the bone if you're natural.
Okay, why is that?
So we have this thing called the Golgi tendon organ, and it
Hmm.
basically, if there's too much force through a tendon, it shuts down the tendon or
Yeah.
it shuts down the muscle, right?
Hmm.
If you look, this is the tendon. Golgi tendon organ goes like this.
Hmm.
As it squeezes, this sends nerve
Hmm.
impulse and it kind of deforms, and then your brain says this is how much load is going through said tendon.
Hmm.
When you take PEDs, especially when you either crush estrogen or let estrogen go like crazy, we have modulation of that spinal reflex. And the spinal reflex is there so that you don't tear your pec or too much
Hmm.
force goes through it. Like if you were a normal person and you tried to tear your pec, you might strain your pec, but you
Hmm.
can't tear the bone because you have a governor. You know what a governor is
Hmm.
in a car? Like you drive it too fast and the engine shuts off.
Yeah.
So like if you have a shitty car, you drive it like a 150
Hmm.
and you just can't drive it any faster because the
Hmm.
governor was there and it stops the car from going
Hmm.
faster so the engine doesn't explode. We literally
Yeah.
have that in our tendon, but PEDs will modulate that,
Interesting.
which
Mm.
is why people take PEDs to get stronger. Powerlifters
Hmm.
being the case, they'll take the most toxic PEDs to
Hmm.
get the most strength because they're getting neural adaptations. But those neural
Hmm.
adaptations work both ways, right? The governor's off, so you can produce more force, but it's like the governor's there for a reason, so you don't explode your shit. So that's a thing that also isn't really talked about because
I've never heard that before.
it's very
That's
hard.
interesting. Yeah.
It's very hard to find research on PEDs in the nervous system.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
But if we
Yeah.
understand the pathways of how the PEDs increase these things,
Hmm.
where it's like there's no effects, there's no side effects, there's just effects.
Hmm.
So it has to be modulating it in this way as well. So like that's one of the things like I'm very principles based. You will
Hmm.
never find that in research ever. Go look for a
Yeah, no,
thousand
no
years.
way.
So it's
So
like
obviously this is extrapolated from data, but then you sort of make the links
I
yourself.
I've put on my story multiple times. Like if you are
Hmm.
natural and you've torn your pec, please DM me.
And it's funny you say that because I'm reflecting on anyone who I know who's torn their pec, and all of them are assisted. Yeah.
Unless there's one guy, but he smashed the bar into his chest, which is a contact injury.
Hmm.
Never,
Okay,
never.
interesting.
It's still just a theory, a Bax theory.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
never seen anyone prove me wrong. I would love to
Hmm.
be proven. But I just don't think
Hmm.
you're not.
Well, if anyone's listening and they've had a pec tear, someone has to reach out now.
Yeah, hit me up. I
Yeah.
want to give me a video. I want to see.
This is a real, this one. This is going for real.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. So would you say a lot of a lot of your niche, I'm gonna say skill set, we'll use the word, would that come from more, I know it sounds weird to say, let's preface it with this. I've been a believer in there's being evidence-based, and then there's recognizing that you can make links between different concepts, which may not be necessarily reflected in data or studies, so on and so forth, but it doesn't make it wrong.
see,
Is that a similar ideology to?
it's funny you use the word evidence-based because people use evidence and research synonymously, and that's not a thing
Mhm,
in my
mhm,
right. Like
mhm,
if you were to go to a court, I think about it like where you use evidence in a courtroom.
mhm,
If you were to use evidence of like this thing works, and I don't know, put some jacked guy on the stand, or you use evidence, but it's a research paper that like says a
mhm,
couple things, like, are you going to
mhm,
win the court case? No. Right. So it's like research and evidence, in my opinion, are not the same. Right. There's like principles, there's research, and there's evidence of like, what do you know works? Like, what do these people do? There's always a reason. Like, I always fight for both sides. There's always a reason why
mhm,
something happens. Like spot reduction, it's a thing. A waist trainer, it can work. All of these things, if we understand the principles of the body,
mhm,
can do something, and there's a reason why people use them with success. But if we don't understand that and we just look at quote unquote research, they'll say like, waist trainer doesn't shrink your waist. I was like, well, it
mhm,
might. It modulates how
mhm,
the pressures go around in your thoracic cavity, and then
mhm,
your rib cage can move, which means you don't have as much pressure in your lower abdominal area, which means your waist looks smaller.
mhm. And that's again, that's going about it in like an indirect view, which a lot of people don't look at those more indirect views because let's just see if I can come up with, I can't come up with a great example right now, but there's a number of times where, like for example, one of the things where like MOTS-C is not considered to be efficacious for fat loss. But if we're
Yeah.
improving the output of the mitochondria, we could obviously see an improved rate of fatty acid oxidation. But people can't make that claim because the direct correlation's not there. Probably not as simple of an example as I would like to bring up, but you get my point.
Yeah. Like I always try to, so that we're kind of taught, I don't know, taught by the internet, because everyone just yells
Mhm,
at each other, to find research to prove why things don't work.
mhm,
I'm always trying to find principles to explain why something does work.
mhm,
I think 99% of things we do work.
mhm,
And I'm more interested in why things do work than why things don't work. Because
mhm,
it's all the things work,
mhm,
right? But if it's like, oh, this study says this doesn't work. It's like, then people just write it off. No one ever
mhm,
thinks, right? Every single
mhm,
person who asks me a question in the DM, I just ask them a question right back.
mhm,
And then they understand their knowledge gap, right? Do I have time
mhm,
to educate the DMs? No. Do I want people to actually be able to think? Probably, because like it's
mhm,
not really a skill that's practiced very often. So I always try to be like, okay, like what are the principles here? Why might this work? What are the effects of this? Are those effects positive or negative? Right? Like one of my clients is taking a prescribed by her doctor a very high dose of metformin.
mhm,
And she was like, oh, Peter Attia said it was a longevity drug, but like I got digestive discomfort all the time. Every time after meals, like I'm all bloated. I'm like, well, like it also does these things, right?
mhm.
Like it has effects. If those effects are positive or negative, like that's now we look at a human and we decide if those are positive or negative.
And in that case as well, that specific example, you can actually reduce longevity through the downstream effects. Well, I think a good example, which I got was very simple for like listeners, is obviously PEDs are meant to accrue tissue at the same rate, milligram for milligram, compound to compound. But if you
Yeah.
look at a compound like nandrolone, which could potentially support more strength conduction, ultimately you could see better progress. And in specific contexts, you would see that as a better driver of tissue accretion compared to like a primobolan. Obviously,
Yeah.
everything's going to be context dependent, but that's a way that we might look at something and realize that even though directly this is what we should understand, if we look at it as a more in an indirect manner and create the links, we could actually see a benefit which we're told not to believe.
Yeah. Because like
Yeah.
the EQ argument always gets me.
What's the
Like,
EQ argument? Yeah, go on.
it increases like red blood cell count. That's
Yeah.
not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know who Lance Armstrong is?
Mm.
The guy who increase his own red blood cell count on
Mm.
purpose. Good
Yeah.
reason. Like, do we not want more red blood cells? Do you guys understand what red blood cells do? Like, yes,
Mm.
high blood pressure is extremely bad.
Mhm.
I want as many red blood cells as I possibly can
Mm.
because they carry oxygen around the body. It's kind of important. So like when people are like, oh, it does this, I was like, yeah, good. That's yes.
Mm.
So it's like
Yeah.
if you look at both sides, of like, oh, like why is this given to animals? Okay, like why is it important for an aerobic animal? Like, okay,
Mm.
like maybe there's a reason why it's a lot of people use it because
Mm.
they don't think about it like this, right? So it's like there's always just effects and like we don't really think about people just hear things and then repeat them
Mm.
and no one really thinks like, oh, this person said this. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what
Mm.
this person, I don't want to talk about other people, but like if you have a
Mhm.
question, something like let's talk about it.
It's interesting because it's just an interesting little thing that I was thinking about yesterday. On a surface level, from coach to coach, hypothetically at a certain level. And when I say surface level, just in a shallow conversation. For example, Joe, my coach, very smart man. If I have and I would consider myself a well-educated coach, not to his level. If I have a relatively open conversation with him, I can keep up with him to a point where I could probably sit there and be like, I know as much as this guy. But the second he digs that little bit deeper, you realize, holy shit, like there's so much I don't know. And that's amongst like all coaches can apply these very basic principles on the surface level, understand them on a very vague level. But when you get to that next layer, that's where you separate the guys who know from the guys who don't actually know anything. They're just regurgitating information which has been relayed to them.
Yeah, and it's
Mm,
there's unlimited amount of layers with the human,
mm,
and that's
mm,
great. Like social media is not the place to discuss deep layers. It's like so now it's just everyone yelling at each other about layers,
mm,
about the surface layer. But it's like, no, no, we get context and we go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like
mm,
we will never know all the things because the human is the most complex system on the earth
mm,
and also the most dynamic system on the earth. So it's like there's a layer above what you know, and there's a layer above what Joe knows, and there's a layer
mm,
above the guy who will put Joe in his place. Like there's always
mm,
a layer above, and like no one's ever gonna know everything. And I think that's like
mm.
once you understand that, you could start to be a lot better of a coach because like
That's when that's in my opinion where I became the best coach is where I started to recognize that because if I went back like 18 months I thought I knew everything.
yeah,
And when people would argue with me, I'd be like, no, I know more than them. But then as time goes on, you start to realize, hold on a minute, there's a lot of stuff I don't know, especially when it comes to in person-to-person application as well, because you start
yeah,
to realize there's an immense degree of variability, and the laws that we follow are not always applicable. And it would be the same in any concept of coaching, any concept of just dealing with a human in this space. Some people just will not see the expected response out of an input as like even as what 90% would.
I think with physio, this is the biggest linchpin of it.
Mhm.
Of like, well, like in physio school, we have like a neuro module and a cardiac module and a musculoskeletal module and like a critical care module. And like then, especially in the UK and like a little bit in Oz, I think like everything is kind of like branched out into like you're a specialist physio. And I'm like, no, 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 like
Mhm.
all these systems interact. Why are we learning about them like separately? Like, how does it affect the cardiovascular system? How does it affect the muscular system? How does it affect the nervous system? Like all of these things never stop coexisting or we would die. So it's like
Mhm.
when we look at like all of these systems, and we're taught to that they're kind of like separate, right? Like, oh, you're a musculoskeletal physio. It's like the nervous system kind of dictates the muscles, and the cardiac system kind of also dictates that. So like you kind of need to have a broader lens. And I think that with the coming back to the clinician question, like that's the biggest linchpin I see of like we're taught that these things are just if I'm a neuro physio, I work with stroke patients. It's like, okay, no, you're a human physio. You work with humans. It's a little bit different.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I understand. Going straight off topic here as well. So if you had to really like rule down to some of the biggest issues you see in the training of individuals, how would you summarize that?
Um,
Well, things people could do better if someone could take something away from this.
Number one, um, understanding how understanding how muscles grow. Of like, I got met with like the SRA curve the other day, which
Mhm.
is like a stimulus response adaptation or stimulus recovery adaptation. And it's a very like very S&C-esque thing that's like widely used. And it's basically like the adaptation starts after the recovery is done. And I'm like, no, like the adaptation starts right away. And if we understand, and the recovery is just a thing in the background, both local and global. And if we
Mhm.
think about that, it's like, okay, like it makes programming a little bit different. That's number one. Number two, kind of on that topic of like how the body moves, it only moves one way, right? Rib cage shape and stuff like that would dictate how someone will perform things, but like the tension is muscle fiber specific. The way we do things is the most important. That's why like I had a conversation with someone the other day and they're like, "Oh, you get your clients like you don't limit the amount of videos they send." And I was like, "It's a fucking headache for me, don't get me wrong. I
Mhm.
literally look at 300 videos a day." But the clients get crazy results because I overload them with feedback at the start. The neural gains are gone. I know they're moving the right way. They feel good. And then like month two, we're just crushing it. So
Mhm.
like the way that someone moves is like the most important thing.
Mhm.
And then from a longevity and training perspective, understanding how the body moves in terms of like each joint segment needs to move independently. If they can't, we run into issues. Like that's the one thing with where my training goes a little bit deeper than most, like physio background. We don't really learn it in physio, but like I've kind of figured this out. Of like, okay, like will I put an exercise in the program that's less quote unquote optimal for hypertrophy in the moment so that someone can have range of motion through their joints and dissociation to continue to do the exercises that are more optimal for hypertrophy over the long term because we're not playing like the 8-week game.
Mhm.
Those are like the two biggest things of like understanding like how a muscle actually adapts and contracts and what are the things that limit that and what are the things that can facilitate that and then like
Mhm.
just the I don't want to say biomechanics but like bio meaning human which is means
Mhm.
the nervous system is part of this
Mhm.
right. Not just the physics and moment arms and torques and stuff of like how the body actually moves is like super lost.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
complicated topics but
Complicated, yeah. Good though. Yeah.
yeah.
This is slightly off topic. One of the questions I had written down was in regards to one of your recent posts that the hate is tax of doing well.
Yes.
What further advice would you provide either like upcoming coaches or even physios or just bodybuilders, anyone really in general, in regards to improving resilience and sort of being able to continue moving forward regardless of like judgment that they're experiencing?
Yeah. So judgment always comes. It's easy for me to say these things, but like, do I get riled up when someone leaves a shitty comment on my post? Of course. Obviously getting better at it.
Mhm.
So judgment always comes from the person giving the judgment.
Hmm.
And you never really know what's going on with that person, right? It's just a projection of something, right?
Mhm.
The best advice I've ever gotten given in terms of like mentality and stuff is like there's only two emotions, love or fear. Every emotion can be categorized into one of those two categories. And when we understand, like, okay, this person is projecting something, what are they afraid of? Right? Maybe they're afraid that they're a bad coach. Maybe they're afraid they don't know as much as they think they do. Maybe they're afraid that a small guy knows more about hypertrophy than them and they're big. Right. So like every single piece of hate that I get now, I just look at like, I don't know what's going on the other side of that phone. Right? Like it's a projection of something. No one leaves a unless like we're buddies and I'm like giving you the gears. No one
Mhm.
leaves a negative comment on someone's things willingly. because I think all humans are like good, right? So
Hmm.
like it's just every emotion is just love or fear. What someone is afraid of something, right? They're going through stuff. They're afraid that they're gonna lose all their clients, or they just had two drop-offs. So they need to make themselves feel better by making someone else feel worse, right? So like as soon as we understand that of like, oh, like this person left this person made a comment on my teeth, right? My teeth are crooked as fuck. I played ice hockey as a kid, and when I was going to get dental work, I started playing high level ice hockey. And when you play ice hockey, your teeth might get hit. And if I have thousands of dollars of dental work in my mouth, then my mouth gets frayed. And then by the time I didn't play ice hockey, I didn't have insurance and I didn't have money. And so I'm like, all right, my teeth just didn't get fixed. And someone left a comment of like, oh, this guy's smart, but he needs to get his teeth fixed. I was like, okay, well, thanks. That's a nice compliment. Like
Mm.
the second part was like irrelevant to my intelligence. It's just making a thing about my physical appearance so that so that that person can feel better about themselves in some way. And like if I'm the outlet that someone needs to in the moment make themselves feel better, like I'm okay with that. Cool. Like I'm just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Mhm.
And my post that I made evoked emotion and it's fine. And like this person, are they the only people like who will say things about me that I get upset are like my friends,
Mm.
right? They have if
Mhm.
someone WhatsApps me, right? If Michael WhatsApps me and he's like, hey, like your teeth are shit, I'll be like, oh man, like what's going on here? Like,
Mhm.
can we talk about this? But like
Mhm.
on social media, I was like, it's literally just I imagine if social media was real life, like no one would say that to you in real life. There's no
Mm.
way.
Yeah, no way. No way.
Like I'm teaching in person, so I'm like, you're really smart, your teeth are shit. It's
Mm.
like that would never happen in real life.
Mm-mm.
Or it's like
There's
people
no
have like
way.
I have 20,000 followers. It's like 20,000 people following you around. That's super weird,
Mm.
right? So I just picture like social media being real life, and then it helps me realize that social media is not real life, and whoever's on the other side, it's not about you. It was never about you,
Mm.
unless you've physically done something to this person. Like I've had people repost my stuff, it literally just says "fuck you." Like
Mm.
it's a post of my reel and it just says "fuck you" underneath. And then I respond
Mm.
just, "Hey man, thanks for sharing." And they probably get even more upset.
Mm.
But like I'm like they're going through some shit. Like they're
Mm.
fearful of something. So
Mhm.
negative comment is never love, right? So we only have two emotions, love or fear. That's the best advice I've ever heard in my life. And every single issue, like when I feel emotions, I'm like, what am I afraid of? Right? I feel stressed this morning. I was supposed to do this guy's onboarding. I didn't do it. I texted him last night. I'm like, hey man, I would not excuse. I was a little sick this week. I'm behind on a few things. We're gonna start a day late. Is that okay? He's like, all right, we're chilling. And I was stressed this morning, and I was fearful that I gave a bad service. That made me
Mhm.
stressed. Right? It's like whenever you have a negative emotion, it's like, what are you afraid? What are you afraid of?
Mhm.
That that's how I deal with things. It's not easy in the moment, and like I can talk about it here. And I think it helps that like every night I sit down with Mads and we go over like we call them peaches and pits of the day, like highlights
Mhm.
and lows. And
Mm.
when there's a low light, we talk about it. I'm like, oh, this guy said this, like it really got to me, or like something. Or like I felt like this today. I was very stressed. He's like, okay, look, why are you stressed? Like, what was going on? Like, you sit on a computer talking to a screen and post on social media. Your life's pretty good. You live in Thailand, like it's super cheap.
Mhm.
Then we talked through it, and I'm like, oh, like I was just like, I fear that this is gonna happen. And
Mhm.
then like in the irrational fear most of the time,
Mm.
because we're humans, but talking through it and understanding, like it just gets better in 2 seconds.
Mhm. It's funny
And
because
that's
I do, yeah, in our positions as well, I feel like we get a lot of irrational fear because I'm quite bad like that.
it's like oh, gotta put my put my lease up to like move to Thailand to
Mhm.
work at the computer and help
Yeah.
Yeah.
hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of clients with my team and my partner that also supports me 100%. And like I
Mm.
lift weights for a living and like compete and diet myself to the bone
Mhm.
by choice. Like when I say it like that, you're like, oh, my life's pretty good. But like
Yeah.
in the moment, you're like, it's just so stressed, man. Like had this business mentor meeting, like don't want to take
mm,
on any things. Like
mm,
it's it's hard because we're meant to. I think living in Asia has really gave me like the perspective of like I bought Mad some perfume and it
mm,
was like 1,000. It was like 950 baht, and like the
mm,
note come like the highest note is like 1,000 baht.
mm,
And I was like, God, just like keep the change, keep the 50 baht.
mm,
Lady like starts bawling her eyes out and like giving us hugs, taking pictures with us. And I was like, what is going on right now? Like, and like 50 baht to me is like just 50 baht. Like it's like less than it's like one Oz.
mm.
But this person probably maybe makes like 100 baht a day. I just
Yeah.
tip her salary. Like it just puts so much stuff into perspective of like our life is so good. Why am I stressed?
Hmm.
Mm.
And I feel like, yeah, we don't take the opportunity to smell those roses. I've had these conversations with a friend of mine, Milan, lately as well, because you get so caught up in just servicing clients, doing a good job, upskilling, being better, wanting to be better to a point where you don't ever stop and think, hold on a minute, like this is pretty chill. You know what I mean? Like chill is in this pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I 100% understand. And I feel like being over there gives us that perspective as well. I think the biggest perk that we find in being over there too is that you do have a little bit more of a work-life balance as well. At least
Yeah.
that's my perspective on it too. Probably not for you because your calls are at 11 at night, but
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when
yeah.
like I live here, so it's like
Mm,
not like you came
mm,
over and it's like a
mm,
little bit more of a holiday, you know what I mean? Like not out
mm,
of doing a routine, but like
mm,
this is my normal routine. Like,
mm,
do I work-life balance? Kind of, but like
mm.
if you want to be good at something, you shouldn't really have work-life balance.
I agree. I agree. No, I think it was more the fact that when you clock off at night, for example, there's things to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's common to do things where here, probably much like Canada, you clock off for the night, you sit on the couch, watch a movie. And even when you're watching the movie, I'm scrolling through my phone.
I mean,
And
like
you ask people to do things on a Tuesday night, it doesn't happen. We got dinner on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
there's
Yeah.
probably things to do in Canada, and there's probably things to do in Oz, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah, we
just don't
choose
see, we just
that's
don't
an
seek them out,
yeah,
right?
but it's
Like
interesting. It's interesting how that's the case though, isn't it?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I find the biggest thing is like the cost of doing those things. So as
mm,
opposed to say finishing work on a Thursday afternoon and then going and spending like $100 on a 60-minute massage in Bangkok, you're going and you're spending like $15 instead.
yeah,
So on that front, like because we do work so much, I feel like in when we're here in Oz, we're reluctant to spend that money in like such a disposable way. Whereas when we're over in Bangkok, it's a lot more justifiable. So we actually go out and do stuff. Not that you necessarily have to spend money to do stuff. But yeah, those things I find we do a lot more when we're there.
yeah, for sure. Like that's and it's probably not like it's about the money with
Mm,
you.
Mm,
Like it's like you could you afford $100 massage? Probably. Like, maybe
yeah.
not
mm,
every week, but like all right, like once in a while. But it's like, do we want to spend our time and our money
Mm,
in our free time, or do we want to just spend our time in our free time and like tiny bit of money? I think that's like
mm,
a little bit different of like the perspective of like you're spending time and money after you just work hard to make money all day long. Like,
mm. There's a struggle
I
with
think,
that when I was younger. Yeah.
yeah,
You'd
like
make like $150 for the day and then you go out and you spend $150. You're like, why did I work today?
yeah. What? Why
Yeah.
did I sit at home all day and do nothing?
Yeah,
Do the
no,
same.
no, no. Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah,
All right, th thanks for jumping on, man. Appreciate it.
no worries,
That was
100%.
great. That was super constructive as well.
So I feel like
Yeah.
like I got so deep into some things sometimes. Like I feel like we just
Mm,
scratched the surface and like gave a bunch
mhm.
of hot takes, but I guess like that's what a podcast is about.
But even in saying that, that's because we don't have anything like this on the platform, so this is great. I do think it will open up the door to a lot more questions, but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
Gets you
100%.
means your DMs fill up, which I don't know if that's a good thing either, but we'll see.
I always
Yeah.
respond to all my DMs, so
You do always
ask me a
respond to
question, you're
DMs.
getting a question back probably. So
Yeah, I'm terrible with DMs. I wish I was better. Even yeah, sometimes I go to respond to people and then I realize, oh fuck, I didn't reply to their last message. Because as soon as someone DMs me who's a friend or prospective client or even just someone asking a question, it's not unusual for me to just be like, hey man, WhatsApp me, here's my number. I know that
Yeah.
you're not like that, but no, it's just easy for me, and I can choose to ignore their WhatsApp if they milk it. Sometimes you help people once and they keep asking questions, and it's like, come on, man, like this is too
Yeah.
much now. Yeah, yeah. Actually, funny because people used to do that, and I started just sending them back a payment link. And I'd be like, yeah, man, I can. Like one guy would be like, hey, you've helped me with a few questions. Can you just look at my bloods? And I said, yeah, bro, just book in time here, and I sent him like a $300 payment link and ghost. And then I realized, oh, this works. Yeah, you're not doing. I'm not saying it rudely,
Oh, it's like,
especially when
yeah.
people are. Yeah. Mm.
Would you walk into a doctor's office and be like, hey, can you like look at these bloods right now?
Mhm. Yeah. It's
Like,
actually
what do you,
interesting. I find the bloods one interesting because sometimes people will message me and say, could I book a consult for blood work? I don't want to go too much on a tangent. And I'll say, send me the bloods because there's a 9 in 10 chance that there's no point in you paying me for an hour to go over them. If
yeah,
I look at them and I think it's worth you paying for it, I'll give you something to walk away with. And probably 4 and 5 times look at them and be like, man, don't waste your time, just do this. I can get on your
yeah,
way. But it needs to be a good person. I'm not going to do that to someone who's not a good person, you know what I mean? Who's not
yeah.
respectful is probably the right way to put it.
I think I get the level of at the level of question I get,
Mm,
I need so
mm,
much background knowledge to give an answer.
mm,
So I give like a one word answer, like go look at
mm,
this. And like
mm,
people think I'm a dick in the DMs. But
mm,
I'm like, oh, like you ask a question where I need to ask you 47 questions before I can even ask you 30 more questions to get the answer. It's like you can't
mm,
even for my time, it's not worth it. Like you just need to
mm.
go do these things. Like you're not dying. If someone's dying, I'll be like, all right, like maybe
Yeah.
look at it.
Yeah, no, exactly. But you know what? The whole concept of like when people reach out and say, can I pay you for time? Usually I say, you don't need to pay me for that, man. Like, let's get it sorted. But when they come out straight and say, can you help me with this? It's like this is where we're probably talking money now. Yeah. It's just an approach. For anyone listening as well, like just show us like you need to be respectful in those essences. Quick question, not a problem.
Everyone's like
Yeah.
quite like to me, I don't know, like everyone's quite respectful. Like, oh, like I
Yeah,
know this is a complicated
same as me.
question. Like, so sorry to like waste your
Hmm
time. Like, feel free to not answer. Feel free to charge
hmm
me. Like,
hmm
see, I'm like, oh, like, dude, just send it over. We'll fix it in 5 seconds. I don't want to have a physio assessment to tell you to press better because you suck at pressing.
hmm Yeah.
Like,
And you
I
know
would be like,
what? Yeah.
put a video on your story, tag me, tell everyone I'm awesome, and I'll look it
Mhm.
over.
It's funny. It's funny because you do the right thing, and in instances where it's not really much skin off your back,
Yeah,
and you probably end up getting a client anyway. Whether that be them or whether that be a friend that they recommend, or a friend might go to them and say, "Hey, I'm thinking of this guy," and they'll be like, "Yeah, he helped me. It was really good." As opposed to, "Man, I asked him a question. He was so fucking rude. I'm not. I don't go to him." You know what I
yeah,
mean? But people don't think like that because I often tell coaches who I help with business, I said, helping people through DMs and stuff like that is a good thing because it's just building rapport. And I did
yeah,
that for years, and that might not get you work today, but you're still going to want that work in 6 months.
yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, reputation is, I think reputation is important, but there's obviously a fine line because sometimes you do just need to be firm.
Yeah. I mean,
And sometimes it doesn't matter what people think of you, but it really depends where that's coming from.
I just like, hey, like, this is quite complicated. You're asking me a
Mhm,
physio. I asked
mhm,
him, would you just expect your to go to a physio, not pay? Like,
mhm,
you, I don't want to give you a bad service. Like, sorry, I can't. It's too complicated.
mhm,
And they're like,
mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
but
at least you're honest. Yeah. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you again, man.
of course. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Do you like ending things or that's it?
That's a good hold on. I'm trying to send. I'll crop this out. Ciao.